Okay, I think that this book is probably going to scare me because the cover alone kind of freaks me out, like way more than it should. Even though spooky season is over, horror never stops. The horrors of life and the horrors of fiction. So if you're a horror fan, go ahead and subscribe because I've recently become obsessed with reading horror. So I'm going to be reading The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. And I am very, very excited. One of my friends has already read this book for our horror book club that we do every month, and she was like, this is great. And I'm like, okay, great, because this is on the list. And I happen to be the person who recommended it for horror book club, and I'm only now just starting it, so I'll finish it in time. So, from my understanding, The Possession of Alba Diaz follows, well, Alba Diaz, but also this other guy. In this mining town, there's basically a kind of creepy, demonic force that ends up possessing Alba Diaz. And she, well, it's a bit complicated, her situation here. Because I'm pretty sure she was like BFFs with this guy, but then there was this arranged marriage, and like, I think he's promised to like her sister or something, or she's promised to his brother. Awkward. And so they kind of, I guess, kind of drift apart because like that's really awkward, but they obviously really like each other. So when she gets possessed, he's the only one who starts to realize that she's not acting like herself and there's something not right about this. But like, how can he involve himself without, you know, involving his feelings and the whole complicated situation of whoever's brother or sister is involved in this marriage? And that's all I pretty much know. I have never read a demonic possession book, read haunted house books, and I've read just like general kind of scary books, but never about someone being possessed. And that's always something that really freaks me out. And so what a perfect time of the year to read something that freaks me out when it gets dark at 5 p.m. So I'm going to be reading this book in the dark a lot. So yeah, without further ado, let's crack this book right open. So I'm a little bit more than 100 pages into The Possession of Alba Diaz, and here are my thoughts so far. I love the writing of this book. The prose is so beautiful, and just like, it just like scratches like something in my brain that's just like, yes, this is amazing stuff. And it does such a great job in just like setting the scene and the characters and really just the whole setting. Like, it takes place in Mexico, especially around like a Mexican mining town that our characters are kind of in, and there's like something kind of weird going on. And we get two perspectives. We get Alba Diaz, who I imagine is going to get possessed by a demon, where she was basically what kind of people are calling like a foundling. Like, she was found in a mine. Her parents abandoned her there, or maybe she's the demon, I don't know. And she got adopted into this super rich family. So she's been given everything her entire life, but she's never felt like she's had freedom because she just gets whatever she wants. And so it's really interesting the way that the book opens up, because she's like given a confession about blackmailing somebody. And then how it kind of ties into the person she's engaged to is kind of part of her plans to finally get freedom, because it seems very obvious that this man, like his childhood best friend of hers, is closeted, and that's obviously not allowed during this timeline. And so like it kind of works out. They get married. He doesn't have to like, you know, court other women or anything like that because he's not really into that. And then she can basically be married and finally go off and live the life that she's always wanted. And then our other character, Elías, is a bit more of a mystery, and he is basically an alchemist. It just makes me think about alchemist. And he specializes in mercury, and so he's introduced, you know, being a scholar and doing all this cool stuff with mercury, which makes me just want to like drink mercury, which obviously don't do that because it's like poisonous. But it's interesting because he's very good with metals, and he basically ends up having to go also to this mine in town due to some family debt and all that good stuff. Don't want to spoil it. It's very well done though. And he is the cousin of Carlos, who is the fiance of Alba. So that's how this is all connected. And oh my goodness, the romance between Alba and Elias, like nothing's happened between them, but just their interactions are just, it's so good. It's so good. And like, and then like, how awkward is it? It's like, oh my goodness, this is my cousin who I don't get along with. Like, I haven't talked to my family in like 15 years. And now my cousin, I'm kind of interested in his fiance. And we know that she's interested in him too. She's not actually interested in the fiance. It's just, you know, to give herself a better life, to marry at least somebody that she's friends with, you know? But it's like, and there's so much family drama. So much. And I love the setting as well. I don't think I've ever read a book that primarily takes place in an old Mexican mine in town, but it slaps. And so, yeah, that's pretty much kind of what's going on with the book. There's nothing like super scary that's happened, at least yet. I guess the scariest thing was like this plague that was going around, and that's why they went to the mine in town, to basically like outrun the plague. But that's where things are a little bit like, this is the mine in town that like Alba was born in, but like she doesn't remember because she was adopted out of the mine. And so yeah, I'm excited to see like where the rest of the book is going to go, because like she's gonna be possessed, and like what does that look like? I don't know, but it seems pretty freaky. And like Elias's involvement, because he obviously like he notices these little things about her. Like he's just met her and he's already like, oh, in the dance scene, that was so cute. Oh my goodness. So I'm excited to see like where that's going to go, especially like the first kind of introduction chapter prologue part is like, you know, like I'm a storyteller and this is actually what happened to Alba Diaz. And it's like, what is what, like, is she gonna have an okay ending? Like, what's gonna happen to Alba Diaz? And I'm really excited to see where it goes, and like how the alchemist aspect is gonna play into it, because I feel like that has to be important. Like, he's so good with mercury, and like this whole thing about like trying to distill the mercury to get the silver out of it, like that's a whole plot point. And so how is this gonna relate to like a demonic possession? I don't know, but I'm really excited to find out. I'm really enjoying this book. It's even better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I'm just having a wonderful time. I love how different all the characters are. I love their own motives and the way that they interact and behave. Of course, the prose, like I mentioned, is so beautiful that it's just such a good time. And this is, I think, where my recent obsession with horror has come, that it's just like, it's not just always super scary. It's like complex characters in complex situations. There seems definitely to be a history aspect to it that I don't know the history really of other countries aside from just like, you know, Canada, US, and like the vague, everyone knows history of like Europe and stuff. So it's really interesting to kind of learn more and expand my horizons in a completely different kind of historical piece. And so obviously when I finish the book, I'm gonna read all about like where was the real history and like how was that all kind of played in, because I think it's really interesting about these places that I've never heard of, and it's just like such a vibe. You should read more. This is your sign to read stuff that does not take place in your country. So yeah, obviously having a really great time with this book, so I'm going to continue to read it and I'll update you around the halfway mark, so I will see you then. So I'm a little bit more than halfway through The Possession of Alba Diaz. And okay, the romance in this book is honestly better than a lot of romances that I've read. The yearning for each other, the forbidden aspect of it. Oh, just like this scene, if you know, you know, but like, oh my goodness, the romance is, I feel feral. Like, it's the kind of like, feeling that I got when I was reading Mate and I was freaking out over a hug. It's like that. There's like that burn. They're burning for each other. They want to be with each other so badly, but like they can't. And I love that kind of romance. And they're like trying to fight against it, but then it's like, oh, it's so good. And Elias is my type. I love I love the broody alchemist. Broody alchemist. And the build up to this book in terms of like the horror aspects, I think is done really, really well. It's a bit more of a slow build than other horror books that I've read. Like there was like that one creepy scene with the crying baby, but the other stuff, it was a bit more just like kind of introducing you to the setting and the characters and following along kind of like what's going on with that. But then when you get to about the halfway mark, which is, I'm a little bit more than that now, you are introduced to the creepy stuff, to the possession stuff, to the demon, and like what that looks like, and like, that's creepy. And everything creepy about a possession you get. And the way that this book is written, you can just smell and taste and feel so many different aspects. Like I can feel the mercury dripping between my fingers. I can feel the like black cold dirt on my fingertips as well. And I can fear the fear of a possession and how that kind of looks and what that looks like to different characters and how everything's all kind of come together. And the religious aspects of this book are done well as well. It's not done in like a in your face kind of way. It's like the church can be seen as the good guy and the bad guy at the same time. And I like that because that's very accurate to how everything actually is. And then of course the whole like colonization aspect of it and like to colonizing demons, I think. I don't know, but like that's interesting as well. And just like the characters and their complex family histories and how it's all kind of meeting together and how it all makes sense and you're like, oh, like it feels really real. And I think it's just wonderful. I'm having a wonderful time with this book. I don't know about you, but November, December are like my busiest life months, which makes it really hard for me to actually get through a bunch of books. So I've been reading this book a lot slower than I would like to, but every time I get back to it, I'm like, yes, I get to read this book. So yeah, it's good and I'm having a wonderful time with it. So I'm going to continue to read The Possession of Alba Diaz and I will update you when I finish this book. So I will see you then with my final thoughts. Okay, so I accidentally deleted the entire last part of this video. My bad. So we're gonna pretend that I just finished reading this book. So I finished reading The Possession of Alba Diaz, and oh my goodness, this book had me like freaking out so much. Like Elías? New book boyfriend. But not only that, it was really like the writing was so captivating, the characters were so interesting, the tension between the characters was really good, the kind of like the whole demonic aspect. You get your demon kind of possession fix in the last part of this book especially. And there's some times where the book just gets really, really gory and you're like, oh, okay. And like religious oppression was done really, really well. And like the way that it was like subtle and then the way it was like boom right in your face and you're like, oh my goodness. The whole part about colonization as well, I think was really well handled. And I thought it was an interesting kind of take with like the demon and with like the mountain mercury aspect. I thought those two things were really cool. And then really, I just want to drink the mercury. Like the way that it's been written in this book is absolutely delicious. And I just thought that was really, really cool. I think I'm a little bit confused about like a little bit about the ending and like how that happened. But I think that the ending was really good as well. And when you kind of figure out who the storyteller is and how the story wraps itself up, I honestly think it was done so well. And you might find the story perhaps a little bit slow at the beginning. For me, I thought it was really great though. I thought the entire thing, because like you don't instantly get like demonic possession. No, you get the setting, you get the characters, you get the struggles, like all of this really great stuff. And then you get the demon stuff. You get romance that's like completely unexpected. Like the fact how good the romance is in this book blows my mind. It is so good. And I mean, like I said, I accidentally deleted all of me recording this. So it's actually been a couple of days since I finished the book. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like that romance is still sticking with me. This story is still sticking with me. And I just think that it's so good. And there are definitely moments in the book that like shocked me. And I think that's something I mentioned that I'm really liking about horror is I'm not so familiar with like horror stories and like the things that typically happen in a horror story and like the structure of a horror story. So they really surprised me. And then when stuff happens, I'm like, oh, like towards the end, that thing that happened, I was losing it. I was losing it. So yeah, honestly, wonderful, wonderful read. If you like horror, if you like a book that kind of talks about religious oppression and colonization and like Mexico set in with like an alchemist and a woman possessed by a demon and like complicated family dynamics and just wonderful write-in and some really scary moments that are like, ooh, then I think you should definitely read the book. I had a wonderful time and I certainly recommend it. So today we're going to be awarding The Possession of Alba Diaz, a total of 4.5 stars. Like I mentioned, wonderful, wonderful book. It's not quite 5-star territory. That is a little bit harder to get, but this book is very good. And I think it's just like a great way to just, kick off the new month, read a cool book. This book has been in my highly anticipated reads for like a couple of months now. And so it's really nice when it's like a book you really want to read and then you read it and it meets your expectations. Same thing happened with Alchemized, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. And so yeah, I really liked it. I've never read a book about demonic possession and I've only ever seen like movies and shows and stuff. And the way it was done in the book is so good because you can't just like look away when something scary happens or when you like the pain of the characters, and the way that the demon is depicted is so cool. Like I could really see it, and it's very different than how demons are typically represented in all forms of literature. So yeah, pretty much nothing bad to say about this book. It's really good. You should read it. So the next book that I'm reading that I totally have not already started because we're totally pretending that I didn't delete all my footage is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConney. This was actually gifted to me by my new job, so I'm very, very excited. And yeah, so this is what I'll be reading next. So if you're interested in watching me read Wild Dark Shore or any book that happens to be on my never-ending TBR, definitely subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, I'm going to wish you warm wishes and fish kisses, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!